mic here. Get the mic. Welcome, everybody, to Wisdom Keys. With myself, Brother Francis. We are finally arriving here in one piece. So, today is Thursday, April the 14th, and it's a little after 1 p.m., 1:35 p.m. I have a special program, a special topic today. And as you know, here, those of us that broadcast live for Resonant Essentials, especially through the YouTube channel or through the Facebook channel, the group for Resonant Essentials, we try to come on every week with something very special, very unique subject matter for all of you that have the opportunity to tune in live or come back and listen to a replay of what we have going on. And so this is my opportunity to share my topic today. I'm Brother Francis, and I'm one of the teachers at Resonant Essentials. I teach meditation, usually there every Saturday at 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. for a small fee. And it's an exciting class because it's the part of my Creative Pathwork meditation series. And it's designed to help you bring forth your abilities through meditation, as well as to capture those moments that are necessary for you to go into what is known as the silence, so that you could hear from your greater self, higher self, vibration that exists within inside of each and every one of us. I've been a spiritual counselor for over 40 plus years, almost 50 years, and I enjoy helping people such as yourself have an opportunity to connect with yourself to bring forth those abilities and help you have a clearer understanding of your metaphysical and spiritual path. And so being here with Resident Essentials allows me to help you do that. So my subject matter for today is not a long one, but it is an interesting one. And I hope you enjoyed the ones that I've mentioned in the past. Well, today's particular topic is called We Can See Through Others Only. We can see through others only when we can see through ourselves. This is an exact quote from the renowned late martial artist and founder of Jeet Kune Do, which was Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is the founder of Jeet Kune Do, which is loosely translated into the intercepting fist. And he was a kung fu martial artist expert. He studied Wing Chun first. He exposed himself to many different forms of martial arts, and then at some point came up with his own. And he was born November the 27th, 1940 in Seattle, Washington, here in the United States. And then he transitioned in China, actually between doing many of his movies. He had just about completed Enter the Dragon in those days, and he transitioned, many people say, by a brain tumor and on July the 20th of 1973. So he was a well-known martial artist and affected and impacted many, many people around the world. And you could see some of his people have done movies about him, numerous movies. I think one of the better movies about him is on Netflix. Look up the one. It's called The Legend of Bruce Lee. That is about as close as you can get to all of his experiences that he put himself through in order to come up with that system called Jeet Kune Do and to perfect the system and to be able to bring it around the world through the cinema movie stage of that. So, this topic came to me because I wanted something that would relate to all of us. All of us have, you know, these experiences where we are seeing into someone or seeing through another person or wanting to do that and not really understand why we are doing that and should we be doing such. And we do it every day. I always like to use myself as a living example. Yes, I've done it. Okay. So I am, in that sense, one of the people that he spoke about briefly by making this particular quote, this particular phrase. So it's important for us to be able to understand what that actually entails. And then I'll give you an example. In this particular phrase, because this was, you know, all those years of him traveling around the world and doing his movies, he was always acquiring a lot of information about himself and learning why he was having certain blocks in his own understanding, in his own martial arts training, and learning something new because he knew he wasn't invincible, but he realized he was learning something about himself. And so, in the process of this is why this quote exists. This is one of hundreds and hundreds of quotes by him. I'm going to just briefly break down the important words. One of the things we want to see in this topic, and again, the title, we can see through others only when we can see through ourselves. So, to see, S E E, to see, TOSEE, means to understand and not just physically seeing with our eyes. So we know we, as a spiritual conscious being on the earth, that we have manifested eyes to see, ears to hear, nose to smell, hands, feet to touch, skin to feel, tongue to taste. We have these these conduits so that we can experience the life here on earth. So when he says to see, he's talking about understanding. When we're looking to see something in someone else, or see in or see through somebody, and we hear people say it all the time. I see you. I understand what you're talking about. I could see through you. I could see through the facade, through the mask. Well, he says, okay, you can do that, but it doesn't really make you that more powerful. It doesn't give you a greater sense of understanding about life by seeing into and through someone else when you have to first do that with yourself. So to see through means to see into or being able to fully gaze into the mindset and the hearts of another's true feelings, their thoughts, and their intentions. That's what that phrase means, to see through. So if you sit back, you notice you are seeing into other people. You want to see into the mindset. You want to see into the heart. You want to see if that person is gracious, has gratitude, is do they have an ego base? Are they overly proud? But what he is saying is first, we must be able to see and understand ourselves thoroughly, to see through yourself thoroughly, and willing to dismantle or to break down our own miscreated ego mindset. In other words, we got to take a look at ourselves and see what makes us tick. Why do we think this way? What have been our previous life experiences that would cause us to think in such a manner, or cause us to want to, like, okay, I don't want to deal with myself. I need to look outside. And we know we've been through it. I've been through it. I've done it in my earlier years. When you don't want to work on yourself, you're too busy looking at somebody else and kind of peeking over the fence and see what your neighbor's doing, but you're not too concerned about what you're doing that makes you want to peek over the fence and observe your neighbor. So this pulls out the inner message in this title, which I'm going to repeat again. We can see through others only when we can see through ourselves. So we're the ones, this philosophical statement from the late martial artist Bruce Lee talks about us working on ourselves, be willing to dismantle the ego mindset that we walk around in, the way we think and the way we feel. He is saying you can't put the blame on anybody else. If something doesn't seem to be falling in line for yourself, you can't be pointing the finger at others. You got to point that finger at yourself. You got to see what caused it, because you're having the experience. You're the star of your movie, and everybody else they become co-stars and walk-ins, right? And extras. We have to take a look at ourselves. Then this boils down to what? Basically, mind our own business, work on ourselves, and get really clear before we start looking at others. Mind our own business, look within ourselves, do the homework with ourselves, and then look again. Don't start looking outside yourself. Look inside yourself. See what makes you tick on some level. Why are you spending that time studying other people? Why? We did the same thing when we were children, adolescents, teenagers, young adults. Go hang out with your friends at a club, a sports bar, a place where you can hear some music, and fall into that old trick about, look at that person over there. Look at how they're dressed. Look at those shoes. Look at those pants. Look at that dress. Look at that blouse. Her hair. Oh, the fingernails. Look at that guy. Why is he wearing all of that? That's his prerogative. That's his privilege. That's her privilege. If she wants to go dress like that, hey, she's not dressing for us. She's dressing for herself. That man is not wearing that crushed diamond watch for you. It's for himself. I know I get a lot of stares sometimes when I put on my favorite, my blue fedora called the Golden Halo, and I go out with it. And people are looking and looking. Oh, he wants somebody. He's a peacock. I'm not a peacock. I'm wearing it because it's mine. It's a birthday gift I bought for myself last year, and I have to wear it. Why? Because it's mine. I got tons of fedoras in my closet, all kinds, shapes, and sizes. I'm a lover, a connoisseur of head coverings. So I'm going to wear them. So you might want to think, well, what are some of the things that you like to do? Or do you remember growing up and people were picking at you, trying to understand who you were? And your thought was, I wish they would just leave me the alone. We all have those experiences. We wonder, why are people picking at us because of what we have on? Sometimes you're going to have the bullies. Sometimes you're going to have the people that are going to critique you. But most of the time, those people have nothing else better to do because they don't want to look at themselves. But as long as you are working on yourself, as long as you are striving to do something to change yourself so you feel better about yourself, you can't go wrong. In fact, you would be naturally proud to wear your wonderful hats or dresses or slacks or sneakers or shoes or jewelries or gemstones because you are wearing them for yourself. You're wearing them for yourself and no one else. So we want to do that. We want to take a look at ourselves. That's what you have a mirror, reflective mirror for in your house. So you can look, so you can check yourself out, make sure everything's in place. Or do the colors feel comfortable or good, you know, against your flesh, your complexion? Do you feel comfortable in your sweater, your shirt, your slacks, your sandals, sneakers, your pants, sweatpants? Do you feel comfortable? Because as long as you feel comfortable, then it's okay. As long as you are doing what you're doing without exciting negative attention, then do it. But what Bruce Lee is talking about is take time to reflect and correct yourself. Take that necessary time. Because when you take that necessary time to do that, you find some other things about yourself that were there. Not just the hair out of place, not just the lint on your top of your shirt or your slack. You find that, hey, you're giving off a certain energy that you shouldn't be giving off. You're giving off a super proud, peacock kind of energy when you shouldn't. You should be giving off a humble spirit. You should be giving off a pleasurable spirit, an unconditional, loving, spiritual, metaphysical, whatever you want to call it, vibration that therefore tells other people it is all right to be a loving person to themselves. It is all right to be a loving person to themselves. Feel good about yourself. Look at yourself as being a success. I remember I was just speaking to one of my first cousins, older cousins, living down in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was mentioning to him that I finally got over something that was I was struggling with for the last couple of years. And I realized it's similar to a topic that I'm talking about. I'm going to use as an example to explain this in another minute. But once I got that message for myself, I realized that's today's topic. It's very, very clear. It's not complicated. It's something that we all go through, and it's something that we experience en masse with ourselves, with our family members, with our friends, alone. It triggers something deep inside of ourselves, and all we have to do is take a look at ourselves. You know, late Michael Jackson said that. His tune was The Man in the Mirror. Listen to that tune very closely from the late Michael Joseph Jackson. beloved and loved worldwide for his music, The Man in the Mirror. And listen to the hook and listen to the phrase, the verses. And then he says, The man in the mirror, take a look at yourself and then make that change. That message is the same as this. When can we can see, we can see through others only when we see through ourselves. So it's about correcting. So here's the living example I was telling my cousin about, and then he was telling me something too that he was experiencing with his wife's longtime friend. The example is I spoke to a friend about his longtime friend, and he was telling me something that went like this. He was saying that my friend's longtime friend was going through emotional and mental states of mind, meaning going up and down, having more downs than ups, where they have had nightmares wrapped around the topic subject of war. The longtime friend of my friend. My friend said he didn't understand that his longtime friend is still suffering from the effects of war. But what it is, the effects of witnessing war and having flashbacks where he relives these horrible moments, these horrible experiences continuously, even though he is in a long term counseling session for it. So it was my friend who had a longtime friend that's a little older than him or had been experiencing Desert Storm. When they were dealing with Agent Orange and all of this stuff. Not only was that stuff, inhaling that stuff and having it in his system, it was draining his friend, but the horrors of war, seeing people get shot, seeing women and their children get shot, seeing all of that up close and personal. And even though he was in long term military counseling, my friend's friend was still suffering. And my friend couldn't understand it in the beginning. Why was he still? The war was over. Talk about mid 1990s. The war is over. Why is he still in that? He didn't understand because his longtime friend had witnessed war that close, seeing someone blown away right in front of him, whether it's his soldier buddy, man or woman getting blown away, or villagers, children, innocent people, and then other soldiers that they had to shoot while they got shot at. My friend didn't quite understand how deep that went. He didn't understand that that was the root and the foundation of why eventually his wife, the man's wife, went through separation and later divorce, took the children away because he became violent. He was no longer this calm husband, calm father, calm sibling or in law. He was reliving the war and becoming violent. Flashbacks would come so strong that all he saw was his children being taken away from him, seeing his wife leaving with them, but not understanding that he was in the trenches of war still in his mind, and that was affecting his family. Well, the same thing happens when people have people in their homes, siblings, parents, grandparents, who are addicted to drugs or alcohol, and what those family members go through. That stuff is still with them on some level. Revolving, looping tape, life's experiences of a drunken parent, grandparent, relative, cousin, aunt, uncle, seeing it over and over and over in their mind and can't release it. And even though they're in counseling, they're still struggling. It took him a long time before he realized, my friend could realize what was really going on. And once he began to understand it, then he could be what? More supportive to his longtime friend. More supportive. And then it made him look at himself to see where he needed to make changes and stop assuming. So once that took place, he was what? He was able to reconcile with his longtime friend, and he began to reconcile with himself. And he began to realize there are people in the world going through this all the time, suffering from war, suffering from alcohol, suffering from drugs, suffering from anger, explosive kind of anger, suffering from depression. He had to stop. He had to really think about it. He had to go within himself. And he had to realize, just like Bruce Lee's quote says, we can see through others only when we can see through ourselves. So let's take a moment. Scan, research your mind, research your heart. Is there anybody or any experience that you have or that you went through that you could work on releasing it out of your mind and out of your heart? If I was to say, let's inhale and exhale, let's inhale this energy, this greater energy of peace, harmony, and happiness, and push out the negative thoughts and the feelings that we have, that we harbor on the inside. Do that right now. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. And as you begin to inhale and exhale, all you want to do now through your nose is contemplate and then meditate on peace, harmony, and happiness, and gratitude and compassion. Because where there's no compassion, there won't be any unconditional love shared. You see, all of us might be experiencing similar things right now. And we must realize many people around us are suffering right at this moment. And we are suffering in our own ways as well. We all need to be lenient and compassionate to our siblings, our aunts, our uncles, grandparents, our next door neighbors, their children, your friends, your coworkers, because you don't know who's really going through what they're going through. Everybody wears a mask. Everybody's smiling, but has that mask. So are we really paying attention to the people around us? Do we know that someone might be contemplating suicide by car or by gun or knife or accident, you name it, jumping off a bridge? Do you know that there are people who are on the edge right now? So those people who you sense are on the edge, you can't yell at them. You can't push their buttons. You can't nag them. You must be gentle with them. And if you have nothing good to say, then you keep it moving. You don't engage in negativity because you don't understand what they're going through. If you can give a hand, help out if you can. Sometimes just listening without judgment, speaking without harsh judgment, speaking with positive words, and put the energy, positive feelings behind the words so people know what you say is truth from you. So truly begin to meditate on Bruce Lee's quote: "We can see through others only when we can see through ourselves." Let's take a brief moment and just inhale upon those words. And as we exhale, share it through the body. And as we do this, just tune into the higher self, the better version of ourselves. That part of ourselves that knows the truth, the wellness, the balance, the harmony, and the desire for self love. Let's tune into that more often and remember there's somebody going through something. Don't misjudge. There's someone going through something. Don't put the burden back onto them. Help wherever you can. And if you can, ask them would they like a prayer said for them. And if they would say yes, then release that prayer for them. But know that everybody in this world around us is going through something. There are people who are wearing a mask so you cannot see the mask is just an all smiling face, but underneath is sad. Smokey Robinson of the Miracles, who's in his 80s, he wrote a tune way back then for Motown. It was called The Tears of a Clown. And he was singing there how the clown would cry when there was no one else around. That means when people are behind closed doors, they're with themselves. They're not going to be judged. They're not going to judge themselves. Now they can relax and release the tears of inner pain that they walk around with, accusations that they walk around with, things that they think about themselves and things that other people have said about themselves. Whether they are true or not, they were said, they were lodged at them, thrown at them. We're not to be the judge of that. Just realize it happens and just send forth unconditional love. Unconditional love will boost the vibration of any person, any place, anything. Radiate that into the world to help change yourself and to change the world. Well, I'm Brother Francis here for Resonant Essentials YouTube channel. I hope you will get something out of today's topic, a quote from the late, great martial artist, Bruce Lee. And that segment title was "We Can See Through Others Only When We Can See Through Ourselves." I'm not going to be on any longer today. I just want you to receive that message, come back and replay it. It's a golden opportunity to feel blessed in the way that we can. And so what I want to do is so that you can see what the topic was, I should type it in here, right? So that you could fully know and fully understand what was taught today, right? It's a quote from Bruce Lee and a very powerful one. And again, we can see through others Right? We can do that. We can see through others. I'll put a little comma there. Only when we can see through ourselves. So think about it. Think about these thoughts that come to your mind. Sometimes your desire to say, "Oh, that person, they shouldn't be doing that. They should change." Sometimes, many times, that's our ego talking. Our ego is going on and on. Our egos stand in the way, and we need to go sit down somewhere and think about the things that we're saying because they could be wrong. We need to take a step back and see into ourselves, see through ourselves, to see if we got that miscreated ego hanging out there, that judgmental part, to see if we are in a state of sadness, anger, moodiness, depression, addictions. There are some people who are addicted to hearing drama, seeing drama all the time. They can't get enough of it. They begin to attract it into their lives. Arguments, fights, drugs, addictions. We're here to overcome those. We're here to change ourselves. So I hope that when you get a chance to replay this later, you will see the jewels and gems in that are for yourself. And that you begin to think as well, what do I need to change about myself? So I have a greater understanding before I start seeing and gazing through the mask or the images or the energies that other people have around them. We're here to work on ourselves, get ourselves better, heal ourselves, be a better version of ourselves before we can help others. That's my topic for today. If you celebrate Easter, happy Easter. If you celebrate Ishtar, happy Ishtar. No matter what it is that you're doing, may you be blessed and continue to be blessed and a blessing for other people in your life. My grace is your grace. Today is Wisdom Keys, Thursday, April 14th, 2022. And that topic again was we can see through others only when we can see through ourselves. Thank you for tuning in, whether it's live or in the replay mode. I will be back next Thursday, April the 21st, and I'm looking forward to go on time at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I'm Brother Francis. And until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. Tomorrow, go into, or even later today, go to the Resonant Essentials, the group page on Facebook, and look at the events that are going on this Saturday. Uh, the center is being actually closed this week unless you're there with one of the business members giving you their particular service, healing, tarot reading, mediumship reading, spiritual counseling, Reiki. Okay, that's going on today. And of course, tomorrow, I'm usually in there teaching my class on Saturdays. I won't be there this Saturday because the center will be closed. However, I'll be back next Saturday on the 23rd at 12 p.m. with my Creative Path Work meditations. Tomorrow, as I understand, online, you have to get reserve a seat, as they say, online, is the astrology group, which is with Johanna Rader. They have a special guest speaker, and they're going to do it online. So if you go into the Resident Essentials, the group page on Facebook, you'll see the link and you could sign right in and understand it's a very important topic on astrology, and it's going to go live, I think, at about 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So you want to get that information. Enjoy your Sunday with your family. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, the rest of the week with your family. And I'll see you next week. And of course, on Monday will be Swanda with Michelle Vidal. And she'll be on at 12 p.m. on Monday with a beautiful metaphysical teaching topic for you to comprehend yourself at this time in your life. Thank you so much for your time. Again, have a great day, great tomorrow, great weekend. Bye now. See you next Thursday, 1 p.m. for Wisdom Keys right here at Resident Essentials YouTube channel. I'm Brother Francis.